In this video, I will teach you guys how to play Maewha Succession like a pro less than 1 hour. I will go over all her abilities and give some tips and tricks here and there to use them and little combos here and there as well. So let's get this started. Before we dive into Maewha Succession tutorial guide, please make sure to watch this video guys. It's called how to play any class is 1 hour. And it's only for PC only, sadly, and hopefully that in future I will make for console people as well. But in this video I teach you guys how to use the skill cooldown slots and how helpful these can be to learn any class in BDO. And so it does have 23 minutes long, but if you guys watch it, I highly promise you that it will going to help you guys learn any class in 1 hour and watching this video. And so yeah, I highly recommend you guys checking this video out before moving on. I also made all juicy other videos, and so if you guys are interested, please watch them all. It's going to help you guys in your journeys in BDO. Especially the one that I recommend you guys watching is the skill add-on PvE guide. It's basically teach you guys what kind of skill add-ons you guys need to use for PvE. And let's get back to Maehwa tutorial. Let's talk about secondary skills for Maehwa. First, we want to talk about the skills that you guys might want to end up locking because it does not have any forward guard and super armor. However, they do actually have some, floating, stiffs, bound, and a knockdown. So out of all these four, I recommend you guys using the knockdown. But then after that, you guys want to just end up locking these because you guys don't want to make a mistake using them on PvP. Is because if you guys, for example, use F, and then it does give them a float, but doesn't have any forward guard or super armor. So if you guys accidentally press F in the middle of the fight, and they actually use a skill that will knock you down, you're most likely going to knock you down. And so I recommend you guys just locking it if you're not gonna use the skill, or if you're gonna press F by accidentally. Same thing with this one is Shift F, but then he actually uses different ability guys. And so what you guys want to do is actually using this on a hot skill. And so if you guys press number 3 after that, now after putting in a hot skill, you guys can activate it, and then it does give a stiffness. And so once again, number 3, stiffness. But then if you guys don't want to use it again, just lock it. And if you guys don't put it on the hotkey, then you're fine too as well. This one is down F, which is giving them a bound. So if you try that on the enemy, look at that, it gives a bound. And so if you guys don't want to make a mistake, you guys can lock it. And then lastly is WF, which gives them a knockdown, which is the most efficient one for PvP fights. And so however, if you guys are gonna make a mistake using WF, I recommend you guys locking it as well, and then just put it like on number 1 to number 5 or something, and then yeah, just put it on a hotkey if you want as well. After that, we're gonna talk about Maehwa's Will, which is basically gains staminas back for her. And so let's say that we're dashing, for example, and then you guys need stamina. All you guys have to do now is just press Shift E, and then you guys can get him back basically. So right here, just like that, and then use this ability. Or if you guys can lock it as well and then put it on a hotkey, which is like number 2 for example, you guys can do that as well. Next we have this stance, which is called like basically blocking. So you guys have to hold Q in order to use it. If you guys let go of the Q, for example, it will not use it anymore. So make sure you guys hold it when you guys want to, block the enemy's skills. And then if you guys do so, also it gives you guys all DP plus 20, right? And so before you guys always engage the fight, just press Q and then you get that easy 20 DP buff, so that way you guys don't get melted like ice cream. And then after that, we can use like some kind of a counter attack. For example, if you hold Q and then click LMB, look what happens. Boom, and then give them a slice, for example, right? And he also has a forward guard, so it's really nice to use if you guys want to. For your cool combos if you want. And then if you guys hold it again, it uses this ability, and it actually gives some little more damage as well. And so let's see what it does. 1, 2, and then does that, right? And there's a skill called Chase guys, which is the most priority number 1 of her movement skill, which is W+RMB. And if you guys do that, she dashes in the front like this with super armor guys. So this is the best way for you guys to be in a safe mode, which is just spamming this skill all day. But then downside of that is it uses your MP and your stamina, and so just watch that very carefully. And then after that, you guys can't go go through them. However, if you guys go backwards, which is SRMB, you can actually go through mobs or PvP players. And so this is a really good way guys to just run away from people, because if you ever get like stuck in like siege grinding with lots of mobs or node wars where you just end up with a lot of people, you can simply just go backwards behind them and then just go through people just like that. So engaging W+RMB, going backwards, and also can go through mobs or PvP people just backwards and RMB. You don't even have to press S as well, you can just press RMB as well and just goes backwards as well. So if you want to get used to it, just press RMB, and then if you want to go forward, you have to press the W and then press RMB. And then lastly, we do have this skill called Tiger Blade. You guys have to definitely put this on a hot skill, and if you guys do so, it gives you guys a really cool buff. If you guys use it, it gives you guys movement speed 23%, attack speed 23%, and so on. And so this is really good, guys, to use. If you guys can read it, it also tells you more about it. And so it increases AP, movement speed, and DP. And so all three of these guys. And then after that, you guys can use all these skills called Slice, Dragon Bite, Dragon Claw, Ultimate Dragon Claw, and Carver, Whirlwind, Cut, and Divider. So while you guys are using this ability, check out those abilities that they recommend, so that way you guys can check out the combo. Just friendly reminder, if you guys use Tiger Blade, you're basically on Super Siren mode, which she is constantly in super armor for that specific time. And so enjoy that super armor, guys, and just use some crazy abilities that you guys can use in order to give the most efficient damage. And then after that, super armor will disappear soon, and so just watch that very carefully. Before we get deep into details with Maewha Succession, let's just dive into something that I recommend you guys, why Succession Maehwa and Succession Musa is really easy to play in BDO. They both have really nice flow skill, which means if you guys use one skill and then you guys can use like another skill smoothly. And so for example, let's look at these that I made right here, guys. And so let's press down LMB and then just hold LMB and see what happens. 1, 2, 3. So look at that, guys, just like that. We use 3 abilities just like that after pressing down LMB and then just holding LMB after. So just like that, it uses 3 abilities. Now let's try these ones, which is down spacebar and then just holding spacebar, and look what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, guys. And so with just down spacebar and then just holding spacebar, uses 5 abilities just like that, guys, right here. And so that is reason why, you know, like they have a really nice flow that you guys can use. And so that's why I recommend you guys, you know, trying this out, these classes, because they have a really nice flow. And then after that, the last one will be, you know, like A or D, which is going sideways, and then you guys going to slash sideways while you guys are moving, basically. And so let's hold D and then just hold LMB together and see what happens. And just like that, guys, he uses 2 abilities. And this one is basically not flow because you do have to just hold A or D and then LMB together to use these 2 skills, right? So you still have to press the D and LMB together at the same time still until these 2 abilities are casted. But the other ones are flow, basically down LMB and then holding LMB, right? It uses all these 3 abilities. After that, down spacebar and holding spacebar uses that 5 abilities. And so try that simple combo, you know, on PvE. That should be really easy to use. And then, you know, once you get to PvP, maybe I'll let you guys know what kind of combos that we can use. Let's talk about Divider. All you guys have to do is just press E and then he activates it. It's also a spammable skill, so it might be really good for PvE grinding. And the best really fun part about this skill is that if you guys have fully stacked on your red blade, which is using, for example, Dragon Bite, and then let's stack it up to 3 of them. So it's 2 right now, and then just wait, and then now it's 3, guys. And so now if you press E of Divider, this is what it happens, and literally just looks like Dragon Ball, guys. And it goes da, 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 da. And so it's really fun, but you know, it does drain a lot of your stamina, so watch that. But this can be very fun to use, honestly, for, you know, like PvE grinding, right? It can also work with PvP, right? And so for example, we can use the Tiger Blade, for example, guys, and then now we always have super armor, remember? And so just like that, guys, down LMB, right? And that's what we can do all day, and also has a super armor. And so yeah, definitely give that a try, guys. It's a lot of fun. Next, we're gonna talk about backstep slash, which is down spacebar, guys. And if you do that, it does give enemy movement speed minus 50% for 10 seconds. So it's really good to add once in a while on your PvP combo. Blind thrust is really nice to use, guys, because it gives you guys critical hit rate of 30% for 10 seconds. And so usually the best way to use this one is when you guys are using the backstep flash and just pressing spacebar and see what happens, and so that way it can also cast the blind thrust. And so once again, we're gonna use that first, down spacebar and then hold spacebar, and then he uses blind thirst and then gives you guys critical hit 30% just like that. And so I highly recommend you guys using these together on your combos. Same thing with Nemesis Slash. It's also spacebar after, you know, like blind thrust or backstab, right? And so what we want to do now is just backstab and then pressing spacebar, and then just like that, guys, how we can use like 5 abilities. And so we're just basically wrapping all this backstab, blind thirst, Nemesis Slash, you know, Nemesis Slash right here as well, and just adding them all together to give a really nice combo. So again, guys, this is really easy 6 combos that you guys can literally just use just by just 2 skills, which is S spacebar and then holding spacebar all day until you guys can cast all the 6 abilities, and then there's your easy combo right there for Succession Maehwa. Next we're gonna talk about is blind slash, and so in order to use this ability we just need to press down E. And so just like this, guys. And then another cool part with the flow for that one, I recommend you guys just holding LMB, and if you guys do so, you guys can use this ability, Decapitation, which is also holding LMB. And then after that, if you just keep holding LMB again, you guys can use Pedal Swirl. So just like these 3 abilities right here, guys. So let's try it again, SE, and then just hold LMB and see what happens. SE, and then hold LMB, and look at that, guys. It just casted all these 3 abilities very fast. And so I highly recommend you guys using the SE and the LMB when they're basically knocked down for those easy combos. And then after blind slash, you guys can also add like divider, because it's just holding E, right? And so, you know, like down spacebar, use all 5 of those. Down slash, we should down E, and then hold E after that. And then look at this, guys. Easily, just like that, we can use 7 abilities on just 1 class. After that, though, we're gonna use Whirlwind Cut. This is really fun stuff to use. Is because it has a super armor, so this is really nice to use, guys, for PvP. And so when you guys are engaging, all you have to do is D and left click, right? And if you guys keep holding it, it uses 2 abilities twice, and they both have super armor, so it's really nice to use, guys, for aggressive engagement with damage. So once again, like this, go close to them and then use that 2 ability, and you guys have 2 super armor, so that's really nice to use. And then after using ability, you guys can back off by just holding RMB after that. So like this, boom, and then get out after that using those 2 abilities. It also has all DP minus 20, guys, and so this is really nice to use also for, you know, comboing as well, because, you know, more or less DP equals more damage. And so you guys definitely want to add that in your combos later in future. Next we're gonna talk about is Carver, guys, and the thing is for this skill is that we have to use some kind of ability and then use Shift+LMB. And so if you just press Shift+LMB right now, it's not gonna work, and it just, you know, auto attacks instead. But then if you do Shift+LMB after another skill, for example dashing, and then Shift+LMB, it uses ability and then it gives them a float. And so another, you know, good way to use the skill is just engaging on them, and hopefully that, you know, you actually get them off guard, and then, you know, if you use that ability, hopefully that they will fall instead of you're getting fall, because they don't have a super armor and forward guard as well again for this one. So it's kind of very high risk to use, guys. And so if you guys know for sure that you guys can give them a knockdown by using that ability, then go for it, and then, you know, Shift+LMB. But then, you know, if they had a super armor but then or front guard, it's not gonna work. And so yeah, just use it at all your risk. It also does have, you know, all DP minus 20, and so it'll be a really good start, you know, for engagement, and then giving a knockdown, right? And then you guys can use like one of your abilities for another knockdown, and then like doing some kind of combo. And then the next ability that we're going to talk about is Decapitation, guys, and it's basically how it works as like Carver. And so you guys can't just use the skill by just using LMB RMB. You guys need to use some kind of ability first and then LMB RMB after. And so once again, if you just press LMB RMB, it does not work, and it does not want to use the ability. And so what we want to do is, the best way is to dash and then LMB RMB, guys, to use that ability. So once again, the best way to use this ability, guys, is just pressing W+RMB on them, right? Dashing onto them, and then W+LMB RMB. That's like the best way to use this ability. Make sure you guys add that W in there, because without it, this is what it's gonna look like. it will go back like, you know, once in the back, and it kind of messes up, and so it might kind of screw you guys up. And so make sure you guys just press the W just to make it much smoother to use. Just don't forget this combo, guys. Once you guys press the SE, which is blind slash, you guys can easily use the decapitation, which is just holding LMB. And so this is the really nice way to use that ability, and so don't forget this combo. So engagement wise, what we learned so far is that when we're dashing in, we can either use whirlwind, right, which is this, and then backing out, and then we can use the Shift+LMB and hopefully they get a float, if not back out. And then we can also do the dash and then LMB RMB just to give little damage, but then doesn't really do anything. And so that is your 3 moves that we learned so far, and let's move on to the next one. Next one is Dragon Bite, and so remember, using this ability, guys, is down LMB, and then if you hold LMB, it was going to use Dragon Claw and Lunar Slash. And so if you guys look at it again, down LMB and hold LMB and see what happens, and just like that, guys, he has also a floating, and so it's really nice to use. And yeah, it would be a really good combo just to add these when they're basically down. And so let's say that, you know, we're dashing in, give them a stiff like that, and then we can do down LMB again, right? Or do some kind of crazy combo like this, and then, you know, just go from there. Red Moon is really good way, guys, honestly, to get people down, because he has a super armor, forward guard, and also has floating, right? And so this is really the best way, honestly, to get someone down, guys, is hopefully that you guys use this, dash in, shift Q on them, and then, you know, hopefully that they're down. And so yeah, I think the best way to get people down is using Red Moon. But if not, you guys can take a little risk and use Carver, but does not have super armor or forward guard, right, guys? And so use as your own risk. And so, you know, either that, Carver, and then give them a float, or the safest one is shift Q, right, guys? And so that's the best way to get people down, which is floating. After you give them a float, you know, you guys can add some kind of an easy combo that I just told you guys, which is this, right? Sideways. Or we can do the downy and E, right? Or we can do the spacebar combo, or we can do the LMB combo, guys. And so yeah, next one we're gonna talk about is Cyclone Slash. The best way to use this ability, guys, is just putting on a hotkey. And so just going close to them and then pressing number 5, give them a floating, guys. And so yeah, the best way, honestly, to use that one, for example, would be like using like Red Moon, right? And if they're fall, you know, you guys can use that ability to follow up and give another floating if you want. But floating is not as efficient as knockdown, guys. And so you guys want to use some kind of like roundhouse kick, right? Because it has a knockdown. And so if you guys do actually give them knockdown or a floating right there, you guys want to just follow it number 1 just to give them another knockdown, so they actually stay on the floor longer period of time versus floating. So in the end, you guys will most likely not going to use this ability, so you guys can either, you know, just not use it, because if it's not on the hotkey, you guys can't really use the ability. So yeah, just go from there, and let's move on. After that, let's talk about Stub Arrow. All we need to do is just Shift+RMB, guys, and this is really nice way to give stiffness to enemies when you guys are in far ranged. And so if you guys see like the red dot just like this, and then if you guys do Shift+RMB, and you will give them a stiffness, and if they actually get stiffness, this is what we want to do. So boom, go close, right, and then give them a knockdown or something, and then do some kind of combo that I taught you with all these options right here, and then using that ability, and then you guys can use another knockdown after that. And so yeah, if you guys do Shift+RMB, you guys can use ability just like that and give them a stiffness, and you guys can use it multiple times, about like 3 to 5. And so yeah, after that we have a skill called Evasive Shot. And so while we're pressing Shift+RMB, just click A or D or backwards and see what happens. So let's press D here for now in this scenario. And so it gives us an iframe and then also shoots, which is really cool. And then after that, let's go left, just like that. And then Shift+RMB and then go backwards. So it goes step back behind and then give them a, you know, stiffness. So it's really nice to add, guys, because it also has invincible and also has a stiffness after that. So it's really, you know, good way to trick your enemy. After that, we have an arrow grapple. And so if you want to use that ability, just, you know, simply WE. And then just like that, guys, it gives them a knockdown, knockback, and then also has a super armor. So it's really nice to add in one of your abilities, right? So if you're dashing in, WE, right, and then back out as well, and then Shift Q could be a good one, and then back out, and then the risky one, which is Shift+LMB, and I missed right there, so we back out, right? And that's all the strategies we can do. And if you guys are out of stamina, simply just press Q, and then hopefully that, you know, you can block all the stuff that they're shooting at you or throwing at you. And then yeah, if they're coming back again and if you need more time, just back out even more. And that's so nice about, you know, Maehwa abilities, is that, you know, it's so simple and yet so powerful as well. Next, we want to talk about Razor Blade Corolla, and we can get this ability when you guys do the Magnus quest. And if you guys do so, all you guys have to do is go close to them and then Shift F. And he also has a forward guard and a really nice damage. And so I highly recommend you guys using that on just for, you know, being aggressive damage. So once again, Shift F. After using the ability, back out a little bit, right? Or you guys can keep using something with that has super armors, right? And so on. Blade of Maehwa, you guys can, you know, definitely add this in your hotkey. For example, for mine would be like F2. And so if I just press F2, it uses that ability, right? And gives me all AP plus 20, critical hit rate plus 30%, attack speed plus 20%, movement speed plus 20%. And so this is a really good way to go for engagement after using an ability. And then we have a Frost Feint. It's basically down C. Or we can just press C and he also uses the ability as well. It does have super armor, and so it's really nice to use, guys. And so, you know, if you guys are fighting right here, Shift Q. And if it didn't work, just press C. And then he also gives them a stiff, right? And then if it does give a stiff, after that, go close, number 1. Give them a knockdown, right? And then do some kind of combo as well. And then after that, we have a Petal Swirl, which is WC. And so we want to just go engage on them, WC. And then also has a super armor, guys. And so we can use that, we can use Shift Q, and then we can use a Razor Blade, right? Shift F. And just be aggressive in the very front that has like forward guard, super armor. And so that way you guys don't really fall in PvP fights. And then lastly, we're gonna talk about is blooming here, guys. I really recommend you guys adding this on a hotkey because it's really difficult to use, guys, which is Shift+LMB and RMB. Because sometimes it can collapse with your carver or with your decapitation. And so yeah, I highly recommend you guys just using this on a hotkey. And so if you guys want to, just lock it down and go close. And then I put mine as number 6. And so if you use it, you know, give them a really nice stun and then back out if that didn't work, and so on. Keep in mind that it does not have a forward guard or super armor as well for this one, so take it on your own risk. Now we want to move on to the skill enhancements and talk about something from here. And so we have Maehwa's Will right here, guys. It gives us recovery of 450 HP, critical hit rate 30%, and magic DP plus 15. And so this is really good one to use, honestly, guys, if you guys are in far range, and then just activate it before you guys engage on the enemy. And after you do so, you guys can get critical hit 30% right there, magic DP plus 15, and you guys also get a nice HP. And so it's really nice to use once in a while when you guys are outside in engagement. If not, we do have Crimson Gust, which also gives recovery of 450 HP, which is exactly the same thing with magic DP 15. However, it does not give the critical hit rate, right, for 30%, which is really high. And so I kind of recommend you guys not using this one because it also doesn't have a forward guard or super armor, so it's very risky to use for this one. So yeah, I just recommend you guys using the Maehwa's Will. Blooming Stride and Blooming Step, they're basically a same skill movement. As you guys can see, they literally look like the same. The only difference would be that this one has movement speed of minus 50%, and then this one has all DP plus 10 for yourself, and then also has negative 20 DP for the enemy. And so personally, I think this will be a really good choice because it gives you guys all DP buff for yourself, and then gives them a debuff for enemy right there, just like that. And so it's really good for PvP wise, honestly. And then, but if you guys think you need to slow them down, and then that means you guys want to use this, and then, you know, give them a debuff of movement speed of minus 50%. And they both have a forward guard, so it's really nice to use, guys, for your PvP scenarios. And then lastly, we have this Cyclone or Dragon, and I would recommend, guys, the forward guard, right? Because this one doesn't have a forward guard, so I don't really recommend using that. And the only way to use this is putting on a hotkey, guys. And so for me, I will put it on number 2, for example, and then let's use it and see what happens. And then just like that, guys, it also has a nice floating, right? And so that can be a really nice option to do so, to use one of the abilities if you want to get them knocked down. So for example, we have so many options now, which is we can use the Shift Q to give them a knockdown, or down C, right? Go close to them, down C, which give them a stiffness. Now we have number 2 that we learned, Cyclone. has a floating and a forward guard, so that's really nice to use, guys. And so don't forget about this ability. You're gonna need it a lot. So for PvP engagements for Maehwa, guys, I have made several lists for you guys what you guys can use for PvP scenarios. And so for example, let's say engagement wise, right, we want to just press W+RMB to them, and then what we want to do is when we get close is using one of these abilities. So for example, we have Red Moon, which is the best one. I recommend you guys using that, which is Shift+Q, and then you give them a floating. Or we can use the arrow grapple, which is WE, remember that, and then gives them a knockback. Also has a super armor, so it's really safe to use. Frost feint, right, which is just pressing C, and then give them a stiffness. Also has a super armor. Cyclone, we need to put that in hotkey, which is number 2 for me. And then just like that, guys, and then has a forward guard and also has a nice floating. After that, we can also use a dragon bite, which also gives a stiffness and has a forward guard. And so those are the scenarios that you guys want to use all the time if you guys want to be CC'd to the enemy and also for safe abilities. After that, you guys can use like these ones. This one has no CC whatsoever, but it's safe to use because it has a super armor and a lot of damage, right? And so Petal Swirl, we want to just use WC to activate that. And also has a nice super armor, so we will not fall when we use the ability when we're close. Whirlwind Cut, A or D, and then LMB, holding it twice, guys, to use that ability twice. And then also has a nice super armor, which is really nice. This one is Shift F, Corolla. After that, Prime, remember we can dash in, and then W+LMB RMB to use it. And then after that, we have a blooming step, which is Shift Z. So we want to use the Shift Z to activate that. And we have all this. So this is my recommendation, guys, is memorize and practice a lot as a Succession Maehwa player, is to just knowing all these abilities in your head. Once you guys get this all muscle memorized up, you guys will be very, very solid on PvP fights. After that, we do have CCs, but they're not safe to use. For example, blooming, right? We lock this in. And then for me, I have it on number 6. And then if you do so, it does have a really nice stun. And then also blind slash, down E, and then if you use it, it does give them a nice float, but doesn't have no like super armor or forward guard whatsoever. So this is really good to use, honestly, guys, when we're in Solary. Like, let's say that we were doing 3v3s, one of your teammates got a grab and then gave him a knockdown. So if this guy was already knocked down, what you guys can do and say, oh, my teammate got a knockdown, and then you can follow up and go close to them and then use one of these abilities to give them another, you know, CC. So that would be a really good place for, you know, 3v3 combos. If somebody gives them a knockdown, you follow it with these, because they're already knocked down. And so that way, if you guys use these, there's no point using like super armor or forward guard, right? Unless the other enemies are around and they might possibly use, you know, to counteract you. And so that's why you guys just want to use this bet to be CC'd on safe spot for these abilities. After that, we do have a CC with range, which is stub arrow. So, you know, if you guys want to be just still in the far range, Shift F or Shift+RMB. And then after that, if they get stiff, follow up with your knockdown. And then, you know, do your combos, do your thing, guys, and just go from there. Guess what time it is? It's time for combos. And so if you guys actually get them into a stiffness, floating, or anything, that's when we do some crazy combos. And this is one of my favorite combos that I like to do. And let's get this started. This is a scenario if I press Shift+Q and if they actually get caught and got floating. I will slow down the video, and so just watch it how it goes. So once again, we engage with Red Moon and dash in, Shift+Q. If they float, go behind them with Whirlwind. After that, back a step, and then hold spacebar until we go all the way down to Dragon Bite. After Dragon Bite, hold LMB until it's used to blind slash. And then after using blind slash, we want to hold LMB until we use Frost feint. And then after that, we can back out and then Shift+RMB to end. What video should I make next? Let me know and comment down below, and I will read it and make it. Eventually, I'll make everything, so yeah. Bye!